Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Hey, Curley.
Good morning. Y'all need to get a little Otis Redding on there sometime.
Otis Redding?
Hey, Curley.
I don't know who it is. Otis Redding?
Yeah.
Hey, play me a little Otis Redding.
Barry doesn't know who Otis Redding is.
He's good. Otis Redding's good. Curley, Coach Saban at the press conference jumped the guy's fanny. Look, we're going to do the things we've been doing them, and we're not going to change regardless. Now, we know in the back of our minds he's going to lessen their playing time, but he's going to go down the same script, which I called yesterday, that he's been going, and that's the way to do it against somebody he's supposed to blow out.
Yeah, I go back a little bit, and I think Coach Saban's probably a lot like Coach Bryant. When you played an opponent that you knew the players might look at as, this is an easy one, Coach Bryant would be very demanding, as you can remember, in practice, and it was going to be A through Z. In practice, sometimes, especially early in the year, against a lesser opponent, was tougher. But they've got a lot of momentum going to do things the same way, et cetera, et cetera. I truly believe that's the way you do it, and you go from there.
Curley, I think sometimes you're winning, and you got some problems there, but maybe you just overlook them because you keep winning. But I think Mississippi State did some things defensively. They didn't block them. Alabama couldn't block them, let's be honest. They knocked two out of the game. Will that help Alabama in the long run to go back now and to clean some of that stuff up where they can get these guys' attention maybe a little bit more? Not that their offensive line hadn't protected Tua, but as the competition rose, they didn't do a great job. Will this help them in the long run, get these guys back refocused and ready for this stretch run?
I think the realization, I think I mentioned, Barry, to y'all last week, that Alabama may be playing as good a defensive front as anybody they played all year, maybe as good as anybody they will play. But, when Alabama, they held them to 300 yards, and, that score could have been a little bit different here or there, and you better take care of all the opportunities that you get. And Mississippi State didn't, and realistically, there were a couple of calls there. The knee wasn't down. Maybe it wasn't a quick whistle. That kid scoops it, and it may be a touchdown, but should have reviewed it. The coach should have called timeout. Most times these coaches, you waste the timeout anyway. But I think Nick knows, Coach Saban and that staff knows Auburn's got a decent defense. Now, if they jacked up front, they can play. Knowing Georgia is getting better and better, just you don't want to get way ahead. But in the coaches' minds, they've got some really good defenses they've got to play ahead of them, and so they'll try to iron out some things this week with the offensive line and some looks. But I think Mississippi State's personnel might have had a little bit to do with a lot of that stuff too, since they've got a couple of first-round draft picks up front.
No doubt.
I think Nick Saban stays in the defensive meeting longer, not the offensive meeting, the defensive meeting longer, because he wants to be darn sure that everybody's on the same page with the wishbone. They come in with the wishbone offense, which they try to keep the football. I know they can't keep it very long. I got that. But, everybody's got to be on the same page to get that to where they want it, because as he said in his press conference, all they do is read you a little bit, and then they'll do a little bit of something different. They're pretty darn good with it. And I don't care if the personnel is a lot different. You need to have your ducks in a row.
You're exactly right, because you're playing against a different style of offense. You don't see it very much. Go back to people who play against Georgia Tech, and Georgia's got a tough situation with that. But when you play this kind of team, those defensive linemen, it's coming at your knees, it's coming at your ankles, it's coming at those lower extremities, those joints, and it's a different kind of offense. And the reads, trust your eyes. You better put your eyes in the right place, and you keep them there, and go through your read possession. And a lot of these little old teams, they looking to hit a seam, and then come back with some counter action off of it. And they know what they're doing with this type of offense. You can call it a little bit of the wishbone concept or the veer concept. Coach Yeoman years ago at University of Houston, but it's tough to get ready for it in 1 week, even though Alabama's got superior personnel than Citadel. But you better be on your P's and Q's.
Yeah, what is it about playing these types? It's like in basketball when you play a team, I guess you could say the old Princeton offense, where they're backdoor cutting you, and you're working on it, and they get one. And as a coach, even when they get one, it feels like they scored 10 points on that one. It's just it's kind of like trying to defend this wishbone offense. If they break one long run, it seems like they broke 10, and it really makes a coach angry going against these type of offense, whether it's the backdoor stuff or the wishbone stuff. What is it about these offenses that are so difficult to defend, Curley?
Well, this day and age of modern football, first off, you don't see it very much, and to simulate it in practice with whoever your scout team people are, and you better have a quarterback on that scout team that can get as close, even though they won't. On your scout team, have a quarterback that can do that, or unless they take an athlete and move him in there to do certain things where the defense can see it. But it's this day and age, you don't see the offense very much, and that's a problem. Hard to get ready in 2 to 3 days of practice to perfect stopping it. So it's a little bit of a modern day problem for people who don't see it.
Yep.
Auburn. Auburn's struggling like a Dickens. At Georgia, and just with a quarterback that never has time to do much. Receivers who don't catch the passes they need to catch. Where do you go with that offense? I ask all the time: is it the plays or the players? And I think it's the players.
I think maybe a combination. The thing that I like early in that game, switching channels here or there and all that stuff, but I thought Auburn came out and they were going fast. And I thought they looked a lot better, and that's something they've done for years and years. Go as fast as you can, and that tempo, I think they're better at doing it. And they showed good signs. And Auburn's got some speed guys. But I think Auburn needs to go back and go as fast as they can. I don't know if you can go as fast as Oklahoma can sometimes, or Central Florida. Now, I've watched them play, and sometimes when you say fast, from the time the ball's spotted, 7 seconds, it snapped again. 9 seconds, it snapped again. So I think Auburn needs to go fast, and I still say they're good defensively, personnel-wise, and sometimes when you get in a little bit of rut and some of your goals are gone, I mentioned this several times, and I keep going, but you better motivate them in every way you can. But the biggest thing with Auburn, they don't have a dominating running back right now, I don't think, that can carry the load or backup that can come in. At this day and age, you better have more than one running back, and I'm not sure if Auburn's got even one dominator.
Yeah, I agree.
Back to Alabama real quick, Curley. Tua, for all the great things that he's done this year, he hasn't proven to be real durable. So if you want to find any negative thing to say about him, hey, if you get to him and you hit him, he's going to the medical tent. I mean, that's been proven. He's gone there just about every game. So what does Georgia, what does Auburn do? Do they put more emphasis on, we may give up this or that, but we're going to get to that quarterback. We're going to hit him a few times. Will that maybe change some of these other teams' game plans when they've seen now if this guy takes a few licks, he will take himself out of the game or will go out? Will that change the game plan for these other teams?
Well, if you got Barry, if you got the personnel to do it, Mississippi State up front, they had the personnel to do it, and like I said, they're an outstanding football team up front. And some of these other teams, I think, may have similar personnel. You try to punish the quarterback legally, or influence it, or pressure him as much as you can, and that's just part of football, and it's always been a part of football, and I know he is banged up a little bit, but he still seems to move around pretty good. But I've always said now he has got good lower body structure, meaning his muscles, but up high he looks like a little bit of a frail looking quarterback, but he's got good legs, and of course he's got a great release with the arm too. So if you got the personnel to press, show looks and come with something else, but influence him as much as you can. And I think Mississippi State showed that.
Yeah, going to Tennessee, I really felt like they were going to beat Kentucky last week because Tennessee had everything to play for. Kentucky let Georgia beat them twice. They got 5 wins. They got 2 big games. They got Missouri coming in there, which Missouri is favored by 6, and they finish up the year with Vanderbilt. But they need to get to that 6th win to get the bowl practices and all that. Can Tennessee knock off either Missouri or Vanderbilt? I know they can, but what do you see with what Jeremy Pruitt's done there, and do they have a chance to make a bowl game?
I think they got a chance of beating both of them. Of course, the big key against even more motivation to beat Vandy, you got to beat Missouri. And I think right now that Jeremy and that hard-working staff up there, their confidence level is up. They playing a lot better. Quarterback is playing pretty consistent, and I think their motivation is at a pretty good high level right now, and I think Tennessee will beat Missouri. And and Jeremy is an old defensive coach, and he'll come up with a good plan. You better, because if that quarterback from Missouri is hot, then he can create some problems for you. But the thing also with Missouri a little bit now, they running the ball better than they have in years past. Even with this potential high draft choice as a quarterback, sometimes he looks very impressive, and sometimes he looks average. But I think Tennessee will beat them.
Good stuff, Dan.
Any thoughts on? I know it's 2 weeks from now, but any thoughts on LSU and A&M? LSU's, they got through the Arkansas game, and if you'd have been betting on Arkansas, you'd have won. LSU is rated a little bit better than they really are.
I agree. I agree with you. And I think they got a real good football team, and but offensively, you'd think they'd be scoring more points, but like I said, they don't have the bell cow like they've had in the past, which I'm talking about a first or second round draft pick. Still concerns about the quarterback, if he can truly beat you. Defensively, they're good, but as far as A&M this weekend, they've got a UAB team coming in there, and if getting ready, if A&M doesn't get jacked up to play UAB, because UAB can play defense, and Coach Clark has got them on a roll, and they are a good football team. And if A&M takes them lightly, that'll be a dogfight. And of course, they're playing in College Station, but sometimes College Station, Jimbo hadn't quite got it like it should be, especially with that loud 100,000+ support there. But I think A&M is making progress. The record might not show it now, but they're playing hard up front on defense. Their secondary is still a couple of recruiting classes away. They don't have enough speed in the secondary, and they're very poor tacklers in the secondary. At the age-old deal, guys, defensive players trying to run and knock people down close to cushion, get close enough to step on their feet or spit in their eyes and make an open field tackle. I mean, it's elementary school, and it just drives me up a tree. but I'd have them back over in that old DeWare field house over there, foreign tackling. But
y'all watch Oklahoma.
Yeah, I want to ask you about Oklahoma. I mean, they win 48-47. The week before, they give up 46 to Texas Tech. Is that a team that I think West Virginia and Washington State should jump them tonight. They were ranked ahead of them. To me, giving up 47 to Oklahoma State at home should almost be like a loss in the committee's eyes.
And they fire the defensive coordinator.
Should Oklahoma be up in that top 5 or 6? I don't see it, Curley.
I think they do. And, of course, I'm a little prejudiced. I like the quarterback because we had his daddy at A&M years ago, and he was going to be something special. But they score enough points. They're going to have a chance to win. And I think Kyler Murray and Tua, the 1 and 2, Tua been first right now, depending in the Heisman Trophy run. And that kid can put points up. He's got a gun. I know he's small, fastest quarterback we've seen in ages. And they're going to score enough points to have a chance to win. But defensively, they better score enough points. But I think offensively, the two teams that I think are as explosive as anyone that can score points is close to each other is Alabama and Oklahoma. Now, the difference, naturally, a kindergarten kid reckon Alabama can play defense, Oklahoma can't. So, but I like Oklahoma for scoring points, that they can do anything. like some coaches I've been around, if you can just TT a drop defensively, make the stop here and there, and put the ball back in Murray's hands, you're going to get points because they have personnel offensively. They're explosive, and they got a dynamic quarterback. But defensively, usually this late in the year, Wimp, you don't get a lot better shooting those threes, do you?
No, I tell you what, you're going to find the former head coach's brother and put these goobers in there as defense coordinators. They couldn't guard us.
Well, yeah, they still got the same players. I don't care how many coordinators you fire. You got the same personnel, so that don't matter.
That's exactly right.
All right. We had that.
All right, Curry, you got anything you want to tell us story-wise?
A couple of quick ones here. Wimp, you're old enough to remember the College of the South. I encourage all people that Swanee. Yeah. But Swanee might have had something to do with football in the South, putting emphasis on it. These other schools, the importance of football. You go back and people who have not studied the College of the South, Swanee, Tennessee, go back and study. And maybe they made a movie years ago, but I finally, as a kid, I'd heard about them, researched them a little bit, and Tammy and I, about a few days ago, went to Swanee. We were in Nashville visiting a dear friend, had brain surgery. She's doing fine, and we went on over to Swanee and studied a little bit of that history, and it is amazing now. Back in the old days.
Ron Varnell was the coach.
Sutter, wasn't it? H.M. Sutter?
I thought Ron Varnell was a basketball coach.
Yeah, but you go back, that football program, 1899, they go on a road on a train in a 6-day period. They had 5 wins against programs that later on have won national championships. A&M, 39. Ole Miss has won 1 or 2. LSU has won 1 or 2. Texas has won a couple. And the other team they beat was Tulane. They did all that in 6 days, and they gave up 10 points that year to Auburn. They went 12-0, and somebody the other day made a note, said, they even beat Auburn. And I said, guess what? In the history of Alabama and the College of the South, Alabama's record against them was 17 wins, 10 losses, and 3 ties. And so I think they contributed a lot to other schools realizing the importance of football in the South, and they ought to make a great movie about that. The other story, they finally, I think, have written a book, the famous 12th man kickoff team that Jackie Sherrill came up with that idea at Texas A&M when I was there, and I brag a little bit. I was the only guy in that staff room when Jackie went around that table and he proposed the idea, and everybody in the room said, "Don't do this, Jackie," per se, a little bit of that. Got to me, and I said, "I think it's a great idea." And, of course, at the time, I didn't know that I was going to have to take a GA, and who was in charge, and I was going to have to work with that GA. I had enough responsibilities anyway with all the secondary coaching the DBs and a lot of the other kicking teams, but I worked with them, proud of it, and we led the nation in kickoff coverage for several years there, and only covered kickoffs on home games. Every one of them were walk-ons. Started off with tryouts, 300 plus, and narrowed it down, and it was quite an experience. I think they've written a book, and they need to make a movie someday. But a motivation for young kids. You don't need a scholarship; you just need to believe in yourself, and if you got the ability, it'll work out. But these kids, these young guys, were heat-seeking missiles. That the opposing kickoff return teams, that bunch of 10 walk. One year we had the kickoff guy was a walk-on too, so all 11 of them were non-scholarship kids that only covered kickoffs for home games, naturally because away games, the traveling number. But it's for football people who love old stories, the College of the South, Swanee, go back and study that. Go visit that beautiful campus. It is amazing how beautiful it is. And what's shocking about the College of the South, I think they got 1,200 students, and the population of the town's about 2,400 people. But and a great 9-hole golf course, Wimp. Plush.
That's good. Well, I played there when I was at North Alabama. We played them. So.
And it's amazing. The stadium, the weather wasn't good. Tammy and I didn't have a chance to get out and really walk the campus. We drove it a little bit, but went by the stadium, and it looks like a little Class A high school stadium. It's been that way for the history of the school, I guess. But a unique place to go visit if you love football and the history of football. Then people study a little bit about the 35 years of reunion coming up of the 12th man team at Texas A&M. Great football stories for people to study a little bit.
Thanks a lot, Curly. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
every week. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Thank you.
Y'all have a great day.